I welcome you to this session. In this session, we will be learning about the agricultural credit structure. Under this, we will be learning about the institutional infrastructure development for agricultural credit. So, whatever infrastructural institutions have been created for agricultural credit, we will be learning about that. Then they analyze the performance of financial institutions, how the financial institutions are performing, outline the role of cooperatives in development of agriculture. So, these are the various aspects we will be covering. Farm finance, we know, plays a crucial role, a very vital role in agroeconomic development of the country. A number of institutions have been created to promoted to provide farm finance. Looking into the importance of farm finance, so a number of institutions have been created, and the knowledge and awareness of different institutional agencies is very important. Then only the farmers can take a decision as to from where they can source finance and utilize it for their production process, and therefore the knowledge of these institutions is very important. As far as the sources of agriculture finance is concerned, the farmer has various sources from which they can take the loan or have the access to finance. One is we can classify them into two, that is the non-institutional source, and the another is the institutional source. Among the non-institutional source, we have the money lenders, the relatives, traders, commission agents and landlords. So, these are the agencies or these are the institutions from where the farmer has been traditionally taking loan or having access to capital and using it for production purposes and for various other purposes. Of late, we also have the institutional sources, and the amount of loan which is being provided through institutional agencies is increasing because of the number of institutions which have come in. And among the institutional sources, the commercial banks, the cooperatives, the RRBs. So, these are the various institutions which have been created by the government and from where the loan is being accessed by the farmer. Then let us look at the cooperatives, because the cooperatives have evolved over a period of time, and in the beginning, after the independence, the cooperatives were emphasized and their role was emphasized, and the government depended very much on the cooperatives for providing access to credit to the people, to the farmers, and also it was providing various other services to the farmers. So, if we look at the evolution of the cooperative society, the first cooperative society was created in the year 1904, and this was established for primary credit societies. So, only the credit part was emphasized. So, and these societies were providing the credit, and the non-credit societies were left out of its purview. That means like in case of marketing, some of the cooperatives, they provide marketing services, some of them they provide the processing services, the consumer services also, consumer goods are also provided. So, Cooperative Society Act of 1912 provided the provisions for registration for both credit and non-credit societies. So, this overcame the problem which was there in the 1904 Society Act. Emergence of both rural credit and non-credit societies emerged and took place, but the growth of societies was uneven. It was not evenly spread across entire part of the country, and only in few pockets we were finding the growth of these societies. And it was the McLagan Committee which went into study the cooperative society, the health of the societies, and they recommended that the true cooperative spirit was lacking in majority of the societies. So, whatever is the cooperative spirit, they were not functioning as per the cooperative spirit. And it also recommended limited area of operation for each society. That means limit the area of operation. So, it's not that a cooperative society can provide services in more than 2 villages or in the entire district. So, some kind of area limitation needs to be there. That is what was the recommendation by the McLagan Committee in order to improve the profitability and functioning efficiency of the cooperatives. Soon after independence, Government of India felt that the cooperatives were the only alternative to promote agricultural credit and development of rural areas, and therefore lot of emphasis was given by the government, and many programs were implemented through the cooperatives, and cooperatives were expanded tremendously during the post-independence period. Cooperatives also received substantial help from Reserve Bank of India and assistance from state and central government, and through their help the cooperative institutions prospered and grew at a greater pace. As far as the cooperative credit organizations are concerned, we can classify them into two, that is one which is providing the short term and medium term loans, the other one which is providing the long term loans. and we have 3-tier structure and 2-tier structure. So among the 3-tier structure, we have the state cooperative banks, the district central cooperative banks, the primary agricultural cooperative credit societies. So as far as the state cooperative banks, which is at the apex level, the members of this cooperative bank is the district central cooperative banks, the primary agricultural credit cooperative societies, and the state cooperative bank, they serve as a link between the Reserve Bank of India and the primary agricultural credit societies. So the lowest level of society, cooperative society, and the Reserve Bank of India, it serves as a link between the two. It helps the state government in formulating developmental plans with respect to cooperatives. So how the cooperatives need to be developed, how they need to be made more efficient, what plans need to be there, so that in these areas it helps the state government coordinate policies of cooperatives with government, and formulates and implements credit policies with respect to cooperative development in the state. The state cooperative banks also act as bankers' bank to district central cooperative bank. So whenever money is needed by the district central cooperative bank, they need resources, so they seek the state cooperative banks help, and the state cooperative banks come forward to provide the resources. They also supervise, control and guide activities of district central cooperative banks, because we know that we always need somebody's guidance, and it is the state cooperative banks which supervise, control and guide the activities of DCCBs, grant subsidies to DCCBs for a smooth functioning of cooperatives, and it also performs normal banking operation. That means normal transaction of the draft and the other services like deposits and also providing loans. So all normal services also is provided by the state cooperative banks. Next tier, we have the district central cooperative banks. Among the 3-tier structure, the DCCBs are there. They serve as a link between the state cooperative banks and the PACs, that is the lowest level of cooperative societies, that is the primary agricultural credit cooperative society. The area of operation of DCCB is the taluka level or district level. So in a district we have one DCCB, and they have been assigned as to whatever member societies are there within that district. So they such PACs they help. Members are individuals, societies working in its area. So even individuals could become member of the DCCBs apart from the societies which are working in that area. Function is to supervise and inspect activities of PACs, that is the primary agricultural credit cooperative societies, guide primary societies and provide leadership to them. Then non-credit activities like supply of seeds, fertilizer, sugar, kerosene and other consumer goods are also undertaken by the DCCBs. So apart from these, services are also provided by them. Provide funds to societies under their control. So as the state cooperative bank is providing funds to the DCCBs, so the same way whenever the PACs they need fund, they approach the DCCBs, and district central cooperative banks will provide them. Accepts deposit from members societies and from public. So they accept deposits from both member societies as also from the public. Then at the lowest level we have the primary agricultural cooperative credit societies, and the area in which they operate is the village. So that is the domain in which they function. They borrow funds from the DCCBs and provide it to the members, that is the farmers. Whoever want loan, they come to the PACs, and the PACs in turn take it from the DCCBs and in turn give it to the members. They also do local savings, that is share capital and deposit from villagers. So the villagers who have surplus money, they come and deposit it with the PACs because they are right in the village. So it is easy for them to come and deposit in the PACs. So thus they collect these savings, which is a very useful resource which is utilized for providing loans to the farmers. Supervise end use of credit. So they also supervise the end use of credit. So the personals, they visit the farmers field and see how much, whether they are really utilizing for the purpose for which the loan is taken. They also undertake the services like distribution of fertilizers, insecticides. So they procure in bulk from the suppliers or from the district headquarter, and they make it available to the farmers. They distribute among the farmers who buy it from the PACs. Then machines are also kept by the PACs, like tractors. They may have tractors, combines, which can be hired by the member farmers, in the village or the other farmers in the village, and the services of the machines could be utilized by them, who because we have the small holdings and all the farmers cannot have buy machines, and therefore if we have at one place, if we have machines from where we can hire, so it is the packs which are have purchased the machines and they are lending it to the farmers. Then the associate with the programs meant for development of villages, so they also associate with the programs. Market their farm produce, some of the packs they also market the farm produce. So the farmers, they bring their produce to the packs, and packs in turn aggregates the produce, farmers produce, and take it to the market and sells it, and in turn it is distributed to the farmers. The revenue is distributed to the farmers. They also provide storage facilities and marketing finance, supply certain consumer goods like rice, wheat, sugar, kerosene, cloth, etc. So these are the various services which are provided by packs, and they are doing a lot of work and good work, and they are serving the farmers very well. Then under the two-tier structure, we have at the apex level central land development banks. This is under the two-tier structure, which provide long-term loans. So the branches of CLDBs, PLDBs and individual entrepreneurs, they are the members of the CLDBs, that is the central land development banks. So and they serve as a link between the NABARD and the state government in the long-term bank transaction. So in the long-term sector, that is the long-term loans area, they serve as a link between the NABARD and the state government. They also supervise and inspect and guide the primary land development banks. They also float debentures for raising necessary funds, because a lot of fund is needed to provide to use it and make it available to the farmers in terms of long-term loans, and for that resources are needed. So for that they float debentures, and the money raised is utilized for the purpose. It also inculcates the spirit and practice of thrift, because the farmers are able to or the members are able to deposit their money. It pervades loans to member banks for redemption of old debts. So these are the kind of long-term loans which they provide, is the loans for the redemption of old debts. So the farmer, they have the old debt, they are unable to pay, and they need some kind of loan which to repay the old debts. So they approach these banks. It is also providing the loans for improvement purpose, reclamation and development of land, purchase of agricultural machinery and equipment, and development of minor irrigation. So these activities, they involve a lot of money, and money in lump sum is needed, and that can be sourced only through the central land development banks. Then under the lower level, under the two-tier structure, we have the primary land development banks, and the area of operation of these banks is the talukas, and the function is to provide long-term finance for development of land, minor irrigation, redemption of old debts, purchase of land, purchase of tractors, machinery and equipment, because such activities, they involve a lot of money, maybe 10 lakh, 20 lakh, 30 lakh, etc., and they can be provided only by a specialized institution like primary land development bank or the central land development bank. They also provide loans for construction of farm structures. They also mobilize rural savings, that means the deposits are collected by these banks from the farmers' saving is collected in the form of deposits. So that is an important, they form a important resource for these banks. Then next is the commercial banks. Let us see as to how the commercial banks evolved. And initially it was the social control which was implemented, and social control is the initially we had after independence we had a lot of private sector banks were playing a role, and they were urban oriented and were controlled by few large industrialists. So that was the structure and nature of these banks. They were not equipped to help achieve the socio-economic objectives of the country. So they were not equipped, neither they were ready to help. Credit needs of agriculture, small scale industries and weaker sections were ignored by these banks, that is the private sector banks. So therefore the social control over banks was imposed in the year 1968, and it was directing credit to priority sector. So they were asked to direct credit to priority sector as a part of social control. So the what is the result is, the social control did not bring the desired result. That means the banks, they did not yield, they did not go to the rural sector to provide loans. So therefore, in 19th July 1969, commercial banks with deposits more than 50,000 crores were nationalized. So the decision was taken to nationalize the banks, and the first set was more than 50 crores, they were nationalized, and 14 banks were nationalized initially. Later on, 6 more banks were nationalized in the year 1980, and the nationalization was done. That means and the credit was no longer provided to only those who could furnish security. In case of private sector banks, if you only when you are in a position to provide security, you can take loan, but whereas after nationalization, it was no more. The credit could be availed by anybody who comes forward to take the loan, they can take the loan. Then next, let us look at the regional rural bank. This is another innovative institutional infrastructure which was created, or new institution which was financial institution which was created in the year 1975. And this was created with the intention to have an institutional agency with clear understanding of rural problems. So an institution is needed which has a clear understanding of rural problems, and also have the local familiarity which the cooperative possess. So this was the idea was to have the properties of both, and therefore this regional rural banks were created with these two unique features. That means they were also commercial as well as they were also cooperative in nature. The business outlook with which the commercial banks were known for, that feature need to be there, was infused in this kind of bank, and to serve the rural community with much more dedication. And there need to be a bank which is located right in the rural area, and so that it is more committed. It's not that they also have the branches in urban areas, they are there in the urban areas, therefore there is a division of intention or dedication. So this regional rural banks were created. They were supposed to provide credit to agriculture and allied activities, so that is what they were doing, and to encourage village artisans, industries, artisans, carpenters and craftsmen. So they were asked to provide loans to these set of institutions or these set of people, and to reduce dependence of weaker sections on money lenders, so that the weaker section of the people, they do not approach money lenders for loan or money. Therefore this institution was created so that these weaker section of people, they need to approach these banks for loans to help poor financially for their consumption needs, and to make backward and tribal areas economically better by opening new branches. So they were asked to open new branches in backward areas and tribal areas where the other set of banks would not like to go or may not go. So therefore regional rural banks, they played a major role, because their reach was much more, and they were very much rooted to the people, the rural people, the backward people, the tribal people. Then next set of institution is the large sized Adivasi multipurpose cooperative societies, and these were created in the year 1971, and this served as a single window for all types of credit. That means medium term, short term and long term loans, all kind of loans were provided through a single window, providing technical guidance and marketing of agricultural and forest produce. So they were also providing technical guidance as to how to take up production of rice, wheat, etc., other crops, and also to take the marketing of the produce which is generated from the agricultural production, as also from the forest produce which is collected by the tribal people. So that was marketed through these institution cooperative societies. All tribal people can become member. So any tribal person can become a member of this society. So this is it's open only for the tribal people, and the area is block or taluka. Then farmer service societies are another set of institutions which were created, and this was to provide integrated credit service to the weaker sections of the rural areas, especially small farmers, marginal farmers, agricultural laborers and rural artisans. So we see a host of institutions have been created, and these institutions, the type of people to whom they can lend or provide loans, that has been defined, so that a dedicated institutions these serve as a dedicated institutions to provide loans to the weaker sections of the people, or through the backward regions or tribal regions of the country. And FSS were launched in those districts having SFDA and MFAL schemes, that is Marginal Farmers and Agricultural Labourers Scheme, or Small Farmers Development Agency. So these schemes, wherever these schemes were operating in those districts, FSS were created, and those who were eligible for receiving assistance under these schemes could become members of this or could avail loans from these societies, and that is how it was ensured that they serve the weaker sections of the rural areas. That is how it was ensured through these institutions. Then is microfinance. We know that it is a cost effective and alternative way of extending outreach of banking system. Wherever the banks have not been able to provide loans or their reach is not there, the microfinance can play a very effective role, and it can supplement and complement the banking system by providing loans to the small and marginal farmers, landless agricultural laborers, and non-agricultural laborers, artisans and craftsmen. They could become the target group of the microfinance. They can come together, form self-help groups, and they can open an account with the banks and take loans from the banks. This also serves as a doorstep savings, because right at the farmer's house the saving is tapped and it is collected, and once in fortnight or it is collected, or once in a month it is collected, and then it is deposited in the bank. So it acts as a doorstep savings, and credit facilities to the poor is provided at the doorstep level whenever the farmer needs loan at even whether it is the evening or night or any time when the loan is needed. The loan could be sourced through this microfinance scheme. And exploitation of the untapped business potential in the rural area is also there. So there is a lot of business potential in the rural areas that could be exploited through microfinance scheme. They can take up enterprises. By taking loan, they can start a new enterprise, and they can take up production activities and thus enhance their income, as also the savings and credit facilities could be provided at the farmers at the rural areas, in the rural areas. Then at the higher level, let us look at few of the institutions which are operating at the higher level, and foremost is the World Bank. This provides loans and technical assistance to promote balanced growth of international trade and economic development. So it provides loans as also the technical assistance to promote balanced growth. So for balanced growth in a particular region, in a country or in a region, what type of activities need to be there, what kind of investment need to be there, such kind of technical inputs are provided by the World Bank. They also provide loans to take up certain activities for the balanced growth of the region, international trade and economic development. Loan facility to member countries is provided, and also to private firms. Any private industry wants to take loan from the World Bank, it can take, but the condition is that the government should, of that, wherever the person, in whichever country it is residing, the private firm is there operating, so the government should serve as a guarantee for repayment of the loan. Then the World Bank also assists the private firms. Projects for which the loan could be availed is like agriculture, mining, irrigation, communication and transportation. So there are various host of activities for which the projects could be financed through World Bank. Repayment period is usually 10 to 35 years, and interest rates for the poorest countries is almost zero, and the service charge, but they charge service charge that is varies from 0.15% to 1%. So it is this serves as a very nominal charge. At a very nominal charge, the loan is provided to the poorest of the poor countries. Next higher level institution is the International Finance Corporation, which was created in the year 1946. This provides capital for private enterprises in its member countries, particularly less developed countries. Invest in private enterprise when sufficient private capital is not available. It also finances new ventures and for established enterprises to expand. So if established enterprises is there and they want to expand, they can take loans from the International Finance Corporation, improve and diversify their operations. Then is the International Development Association. It provides assistance to countries with an annual per capita GNP of less than $790. So that means the poorest of the poor countries, they provide loans, and repayment period is usually very large, that is 50 years, and service charge is less than 1%. So the purpose is to stimulate investment and economic development and encourage foreign trade. So this is the purpose with which the loan is provided. Then within the country, if we see, we have NABARD as the apex level institution, which serves as an apex financing agency for institutions providing investment and production credit. So the institutions which are playing a role in providing loans to the rural areas, for them it serves as a apex financing institution. It coordinates the rural financing activities of all institutions and maintain liaison with the Government of India, state government and RBI. So it liaisons between the various financial institutions as also the Government of India, state government and RBI. It to undertake monitoring and evaluation of projects refinanced by it. So it also monitors and evaluates projects which has been financed by NABARD. Then Agricultural Finance Corporation is there, which is a consortium of commercial banks. So commercial banks have come together and they have formed a corporation, and it serves as a consultancy agency of member banks, financing the individual banks, institutions, organizations involving agricultural development, promotes commercial banks' advances for agricultural development. A number of credit institutions are operational to extend credit support. We have seen a host of them. The government is periodically assessing the functioning of financial sector, and wherever there is a lacuna, it is trying to create a new institution. Cooperative institutions have flourished during the post-liberalization period following the support from the government. During the post-independence, we have seen cooperative credit institutions have flourished. However, it was felt that the cooperative alone are not sufficient to meet the credit needs of the rural sector, and therefore nationalization was done and commercial banks were brought in the year 1969. They played a major role after nationalization of banks. Later, setting up various specialized financial institutions for catering to the credit needs of the rural sector. So later on we saw RRBs, Farmer Service Societies, LAMPs, large size Adivasi Cooperative Society was there. Then apex level also we saw NABARD is playing a major role. So this way, number of institutions have been created, and this is playing this is in order to provide or improve the access to credit to the rural poor. Thank you.